Good day, Anonymous Andrew here with you once again. So just came from one of my meetings, my support group meetings, on a Saturday morning. I posted last night a YouTube video and a podcast episode, both on the same topic. And I have to tell you that it kept me up all night long. I talked about self-love. I want to dive into what is self-love, why there's this phrase or saying that you need to love yourself before you can love somebody else. What does that mean? What does self-love mean? And I challenge that phrase. Just my opinion, but so anyway, the podcast and the video was the introduction into what I'm going to dive into in the next week with some hopefully experts, professionals. I have a life coach hopefully coming on soon to talk about self-love and how it relates to relationships. Can you truly be in a relationship and love somebody else, but not necessarily love yourself? Now, I'm not talking about hating yourself or self-loathing, and there are times when we do something dumb. Could be anywhere, work, and just do something stupid, and then you feel like an idiot for a day. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about your day-to-day life. Do you love yourself? I like myself. I don't like some of the things that I have done in my life. As a recovering alcoholic, I have made amends in my current life of almost 8 years sober. I'm trying to be a decent human. Hence the term podcast, Life and the Choices We Make. I'm trying to make good choices today. I heard something this morning in my meeting. It's again, I bring up phrases and cliches and stuff, and this isn't anything new or earth-shattering, but when I heard the term, I'll say it in a moment, but when I heard the term, the speaker was talking about it, but I had to reflect on what he just said. And here's the phrase: hurt people hurt people. Okay, so it's how you say it so you can understand it. Hurt people hurt people. What that means is people that have been hurt in their life, could be childhood, could be an adult, but they've been traumatized and hurt in their life, they tend to then go on to hurt other people. There's a therapeutic term for that, I think. I'm going to find out what that is, but I think we're going to, along with the self-love episode that I'm going to be putting together, I'd like to look into hurt people hurt people. Why do people who are hurting or have been hurt go out and hurt other people? And I've said this a half a dozen times, and I'm going to keep saying it because I have to keep processing it. The last relationship I was in, she hurt me very badly. But she was also a victim of trauma in her childhood, in her teenage years, and then in her adult life. She was a victim of hurt. So she then turned around and inflicted that hurt onto me. I don't know if it was subconscious. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't think she got into the relationship saying, oh, here's a nice looking guy and I'll date him, but I'm going to hurt him. I don't think that's what her intentions were. But I think as the relationship progressed, a natural something just changed in her interaction with me, where she began to do things in her life that would, and again, I said this I have a dozen times, what you do in your own private life is your business. If you're single, if you're with somebody and in love with them and you're committed, you don't do certain things in your, whether it's your private life or not. You know, the day that I found out about what she was doing, I called a friend of hers and I said to her, do you know that she's doing XYZ? And the woman came back to me and she said, that's none of your business. It's her private life. And I said, no, it's absolutely my business, because she's having sex with other people in this activity that she's doing, that she's engaged in a business adventure. It's hurting me. And it's not appropriate. It hurt to find out that she was doing this. I might be beating a dead horse here, folks. I get that. And for those loyal followers that are listening to me, I got no sleep last night. I recorded this episode about self-love last night. I got off about 9 o'clock, and I told everybody, hey, I'm going to go to bed with some chocolate chip cookies and watch some TV and have some self-love. Do you know it wasn't until 2:30 in the morning until I fell asleep? I could not get this whole concept out of my head. And 20 milligrams of melatonin and one other medication that is supposed to help me sleep, could not fall asleep because that brain spinning, that hamster wheel was just going and going and going. And I woke up this morning. I had to get up early because I had an interview this morning, which I posted everywhere. I was interviewed by Blog Talk Radio, I think it's called. And I posted it on my Instagram. Yeah, go listen to it if you can find it. It's on my Instagram. So I had to get up early this morning, and I was a wreck. You know, I was up at 7, and I had my support meeting at 10, but there was a lot I had to do this morning to get us. So I had to get up early and take care of some things, and but it was a disaster that I got 5 hours sleep. Thank God it was the weekend, and you know it's Saturday, and I have some things to do. But you know, at 3 o'clock, if I want to, I can crawl into bed and take a nap. No big deal. But had this been a weekday, it would have been horrible. And when I got to my meeting this morning, I ran into my sponsor, and after the meeting, he came up to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Why do you ask?" He says, "I can see it all over your face. You're wearing it." And I said, "No, I'm not. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night." And he says, "Yeah, I can see it." 6 months post breakup, and I'm still struggling with this, folks. I just don't. The rational, intellectual, educated side of my brain is like done. I so want to move on and just go on with my life. And I'm doing that in different aspects with this podcast and my job and in my social life. I'm moving forward, and I'm having much better days than I used to have months ago. But this is like a setback. It's not being able to sleep. There are people in this world who get 4 hours or 6 hours or whatever amount of sleep, and they can function. It is not of my bio makeup to get not a lot of sleep. I need minimum 7 hours, optimally 8 hours, and like it would be great to get 9 hours for my next day to be productive. And yeah, one step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's this cycle that I'm going through. And listen, I've said this before. I have dated many women in my life. I've been technically married twice, one officially and one a civil union. And in between, there has to be a dozen different relationships, 2 engagements. And this by far is the most hardest one I've had to walk away from, by far. And I don't know what I need to do to cross that line and get to the other side. I feel like that running back on the football field he's got the ball on the 20-yard line of the other teams, right? And he's got to go 80 yards to get that touchdown. I feel like I'm carrying that football, and I got 80 yards to go to get that touchdown, and I keep getting tackled. And in football, you get 4 chances. After the 4th chance, you got to give the ball over to the other team, right? So thank God this isn't football, because if it was, I'd have to give the ball over to her. In my spiritual world, I would be told to give it over to God, to my higher power. And believe me, I have tried. Every night I put my head on the pillow and I ask God, and I told you guys I'm not going to get religious. This is just a little insight into my spiritual world. I ask God to take this away from me. Not only take this pain and hurt away, but take my will away and just let thy will be done. Because left to my own devices, it's not going to look pretty. It's not. So take it away. I got a sign in my bathroom on my mirror. Something to the effect of, it's a message from God. It says, take the day off. I got this. God, love God, or something. So in other words, you don't have to deal with today. I'll take care of it for you. That sign's been up there for 3 years. And I'm still struggling. The higher power works in mysterious ways. I don't pray. I talk to my higher power and I ask for help. I guess that's a form of praying, because people who, like, let's say somebody was in a coma in a hospital, or a relative or something, and there's always people around, especially if you're religious, people pray. They pray to God, let him come out of the coma, let him recover from surgery, let him get up and walk again, or her, whatever. And so yeah, I guess it's a form of praying. Folks, I'm just struggling with each day putting one foot in front of the other. Thank God for this microphone, and I never thought I would say this, because social media, I think, is the devil incarnate. But thank God for Instagram right now. Thank God for YouTube and all the other platforms where we can, as at least here in America, get on and say what we want to say without being censored, without any ramifications. Obviously, there's some things if you say, there's going to be some kickback. I'm just being honest and emptying my brain. I mentioned a while back that this is like an audio journal for me. And from time to time, I'll have somebody else on to help us understand, like an expert, like I did with Della Marie Mullins. And thank you, Della. Della's been following me and keeping in touch with me, and we're going to have Della on again. That was a fantastic interview. I have a potential interview. I have an interview tomorrow morning with somebody in Europe. They have a podcast over there. She's a renowned author and life coach, and she wants to interview me. I'm honored. But I also have another life coach that I want to interview, and I'm hopefully going to do a recording tomorrow, and we're going to have her help us understand and answer some of these dilemmas. Everything about self-love, everything about denial, why hurt people hurt. It just comes down to, I am trying, I mentioned this back in one of my couple of first episodes. I said, either I said gaslighting or red flags. We're going to do an autopsy on it because it's dead in my world. It's a dead entity, and we're going to open it up. We're going to take that scalpel and we're going to slice it open, and we're going to get in there and we're going to find out what makes it work, because it works. If you know how to gaslight somebody, or if you know how to be a liar and a cheater and a deceiver, and you're good at it, your victims are okay. Yeah. I think at the end of season 1, I would like to have a solid response or answer on how to recognize these signs, avoid these signs, confront them when they happen, and have the balls to walk away when it's happening and not be in denial and not be codependent. Anyway, once again, I just popped on for a brief. Felt good. I was being interviewed, and it was not quite what I thought the direction it was going to go in, but it was a wonderful experience. I was interviewed many years ago by a local news channel down here because I ran a mood disorder support group, and I was the president. And somebody in the pop culture, and I'm not, even if I remember the name, I'm not going to say it, but she came out and said that she was living with bipolar disorder, and they contacted us and asked if we would make a comment on it. So they sent a news crew to my job, and we did we just did an interview. And anyway, I have been interviewed before, but this is kind of new for me here on this social media thing. I belong to a Facebook group where a bunch of podcasters get together and you swap ideas and episodes, and you be a guest on my show, I'll be a guest on your show, and that's how it works. So that's just one venue I use. I have others. So, all right. Because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, I think I'm going to take a break from this podcasting. And it's not a nice day. Once again, I think last Saturday I talked about the weather was horrible. It was beautiful this week. We had a couple of nice days in the 60s and 70s, but then today it's like 40. That's exactly what it is. It's 47 degrees outside, and I'm down by the beach, so it's a raw 47 degrees. It's not nice. So I'm going to stay in the house today, and I think I'm going to go binge watch something. Self-love. Just take care of myself. Just had my smoothie. I've changed my diet now. I'm doing some I've changed my habit of eating to much more healthier. The one I guess junk food or non-healthy edible that I eat is chocolate chip cookies. I just have a sweet tooth for them. Other than that, nothing goes into my body that isn't either organic, it's not processed, it is either a vegetable, it's organic. I do eat meat, but mostly chicken and fish, mostly fish. But I realize I'm not getting enough fruits and vegetables. So I'm anyway, I'm rambling. Folks, have a great Easter. You're probably not going to see this until after Easter, so have a great summer, whatever is coming up. All right, Anonymous Andrew. If it feels good, do it, but please choose wisely. Ciao.